I knew it from the minute I woke up. That something wasn't right. I had no feeling in my left leg from my knee down.
Robin Rockwell is a young woman, just 39, but moves like she's much older. Robin says it's all because of back surgery 3 years ago by Dr. Cully White.
I spoke to him about it immediately after I woke up, and I told him, you know, something's wrong. And he basically told me, this is from the surgery, it's probably swelling. You know, this will go away. Now, almost 3 years later, it's still here. The pain is still here. I'm in intense pain every minute of my life.
A shadow of the woman she used to be.
So how many rods, plates, and screws do you have in your body?
2 rods, I'm not sure how many screws, and 3 plates.
And are you worried that any of those parts are fake parts?
I was notified that there is a good possibility that I do have fake parts in my back. By the hospital, I was notified.
You'd be crying too if the hospital where you had your back surgery notified you the unthinkable may have happened. You might have fake medical parts implanted in your spine.
I was horrified. I was just horrified.
Robin and some of the others gathered here say they have been living with that terrifying possibility for a year now.
How many of you thought something was wrong when you woke up after your surgery?
News so shocking, it should have been broken to them in a way a lot more personal than a form letter addressed, "Dear Aurora patient."
I don't trust doctors, and now I really don't trust them.
A dozen people who say they are still suffering from neck and back surgeries sat down with Crime Watch Daily at our affiliate in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Fox 6, to share their emotional stories.
How do you feel today?
Very miserable.
Physically or emotionally?
Both.
Their complaints include shooting pains, numbness, difficulty walking and sitting. Sandra Lindy received one of those terrifying letters.
Where's your pain?
Down on the left side here.
I'm noticing how emotional you all get when someone speaks.
I'm just thinking that they're describing me, my life.
The letter from Aurora St. Luke's Medical Center warns in part, you may have counterfeit implantable hardware, but it's hard to know because it was mixed with genuine product. And if that's not scary enough...
What the whistleblower lawsuit alleges is that the counterfeit parts were made and manufactured at a machine shop in Temecula under the direction of a company called Spinal Solutions.
Just look at the receipts from the machine and tool shop. Attorney Brian Kabatek is now suing Spinal Solutions, representing about 100 patients in California.
It is incredible to believe that parts in your body may have been made in a tool shop in California.
It's unbelievable that somebody would actually do that to another human being.
By a show of hands, how many of you believe that you have counterfeit medical parts in your body?
You don't know. You don't know.
You don't even know.
According to this lawsuit filed last year, more than 50 hospitals, doctors, and others are named as defendants in an alleged massive healthcare fraud scheme.
How many of you are still in pain?
The suit claims Spinal Solutions knowingly produced and manufactured fake, knockoff, implantable hardware.
I believe 100% that these are not the medical grade rods that should have been put in.
We reached out to Aurora Medical Center for comment, but they did not respond to our calls. Aurora says in its letter to potentially affected patients, there is no evidence to confirm the claims involving Spinal Solutions. We obviously are disturbed by the allegations. Please understand that your health is of the utmost importance to us and that we take this situation very seriously. This former patient says he wants to know who made the bolts and screws from his previous surgery.
My second surgery is in my jar.
You'd think a man with a jar of hardware out of his back would have gotten a letter from the hospital, especially with an x-ray that looks like the inside of a toolbox. But Michael Matson says he never heard a peep. He claims he found out about the scandal from watching the news.
When this came up, I said, wow. I went and I grabbed my jar and I looked at my rusty rods and I said, this is unbelievable. I have the fake parts. They were inside my body for a year.
How do you know they're fake?
Because medical grade titanium doesn't rust like this, doesn't rust.
Is that true?
Generally, you wouldn't see kind of damaged materials after time, and it's supposed to be coated. So
yeah.
Medical grade titanium is supposed to be coated to prevent exactly that from happening.
And while the parts may have been cheap knockoffs, the delivery system was not. Attorney Brian Kabatak's lawsuit against Spinal Solutions alleges the company used private jets to deliver the counterfeit medical parts and alleged kickback money around the country, which he says could be as high as $15,000 per surgery. Those bogus parts reportedly brought in big profits. He claims the charge for one counterfeit screw was $300, but the insurance companies were allegedly charged as much as $12,500.
We also have been in touch with the U.S. Attorney, the Attorney General's office, and we're cooperating with them, but we've been asked not to disclose what's actually going on in those investigations.
Even though Spinal Solutions is now out of business, Kabatak says the case against them could turn criminal.
I personally represent a number of people who allege that they've had this counterfeit hardware installed in their bodies and it's caused them irreparable harm.
He does not represent any of the Wisconsin patients, and the alleged medical fraud in California has not been proven. He met me in Milwaukee to help answer questions.
What we do know is that if you have something in your body that's not FDA approved, you're at risk.
You're all shaking your heads. You're horrified. I'm horrified listening to this.
Dr. Charles Rosen, expert in spine surgery and professor at UC Irvine Medical Center, is worried. He has not seen any of these patients, but says the consequences of having non-medical grade implants in your body could be devastating.
They can break, they can give off metal ions, they can degrade, they can cause the surgery to fail by not being rigid enough to cause a fusion. There can be numerous complications from them.
All the people in this room were operated on by neurosurgeon Dr. Cully White. The 47-year-old doctor denies he ever knowingly used fake parts on his patients. Dr. White was originally named in the Spinal Solutions lawsuit filed in California, but he was recently dropped from that suit. In court documents, Dr. White also denies receiving any kickbacks and claims he never billed for, paid for, or took delivery of any implantable hardware at any time. Dr. Cully White may have been dropped from the California lawsuit, but he's still facing accusations that he implanted fake medical parts in this Wisconsin lawsuit filed by former patient Linda Haynes. Dr. White denies all the allegations and claims her condition is a result of natural disease progression and pre-existing conditions.
Oh, I don't think it's going to be over for Dr. White for a long time. I think you've got an awful lot of angry people here who are upset with him.
Perhaps for a lot more than just allegations of fake medical parts. Next, his patients are putting the screws to the doctor.
Is this Dr. Cully's fault, though?
Yeah.